In July 2024, a family's search for a missing woman led them to an abandoned quarry on the edge of Nairobi. What they found there would uncover one of the most disturbing crimes in Kenya's modern history and set off a manhunt that 2 years later still hasn't ended. Mukuru is one of Nairobi's largest informal settlements, a dense, sprawling community on the city's southeastern edge. It was here, in a disused quarry, that relatives of a missing woman began searching after a dream reportedly convinced them she could be found there. What they uncovered was far worse than they feared. Multiple bodies and body parts wrapped in plastic sacks and dumped across the site. Police investigators descended on the scene. Within days, they had a suspect, a 33-year-old former motorcycle taxi driver, a boda rider as they are known in Kenya. His name was Collins Jumaisi Kalusha. Kalusha was born in February 1991 in Vihiga County in western Kenya. After his father died when he was a young child, his mother moved him and his siblings to Migori County, near the border with Tanzania. By the time of his arrest, he was living and working in Nairobi, blending in, by most accounts, as an ordinary member of the community. When investigators searched his residence, they recovered mobile phones, identity cards, and SIM cards, items that will become central to building the case against him. 2 more men were arrested in the days that followed. One was found in possession of a phone belonging to a victim, Roslyn Akoth. A phone he'd bought from a seller who, in turn, told police he had purchased it from Kalusha himself. Investigators searching that seller's home found over 100 more second-hand phones. Piece by piece, police said, the phone trail connected multiple victims back to one man. Police described Kalusha as having confessed to murdering 42 women over a 2-year period. The victims reportedly between 18 and 30 years old. Investigators said the very first victim was someone close to him, his own wife. Officials at the time called him a psychopathic serial killer with no respect for human life. But the confession itself quickly became the center of a legal battle. Kalusha's lawyer told journalists his client had been tortured, strangled, he said, into admitting to crimes under duress. Prosecutors denied it. Kalusha pleaded not guilty to the charges brought against him. As investigators worked to formally identify victims and prepare further charges, the case was already gripping the country. Then it took a turn nobody expected. On the night of August 20th, 2024, just weeks after his arrest, Kalusha was being held at Gigiri Police Station in one of Nairobi's more affluent neighborhoods. At around 3 a.m., he and 12 Eritrean nationals who were being detained on immigration charges cut through wire mesh in the station's holding area, climbed a perimeter wall, and vanished into the night. The escape triggered immediate suspicion. How does a high-profile murder suspect simply walk out of a police station? Kenya's then acting police chief said preliminary investigations pointed to insider help. 8 officers who had been on duty that night were suspended pending investigation. 5 officers later appeared in court, suspected of assisting the escape. A cash reward was announced for information leading to his recapture. Police hotlines were flooded with tips, and yet, nothing. Weeks turned into months. A month after the escape, police confirmed Kalusha was still at large, insisting security teams were closing in. They weren't. Periodically, rumors will surface online that he had finally been recaptured. Each time, Kenya's Directorate of Criminal Investigation was forced to issue public clarifications. No, he had not been caught. Then, in June 2026, nearly 2 years after the escape, Kenya's Interior Cabinet Secretary, Kipchumba Murkomen, addressed the case directly on national television. He confirmed what many suspected. Kalusha remains uncaught. For the first time, Murkomen floated a new theory, that Kalusha may have had help evading capture not from the state, but from the accomplices of his own. He firmly rejected persistent public speculation that government agencies had a hand in the escape, arguing there was no reason for the state to protect a man accused of such crimes. It was a rare, direct acknowledgement from a senior government official. The investigation is still open. The questions are still unanswered, and Collins Jumaisi Kalusha is still out there. 2 years on, the Quarry killings remain on Kenya's most haunting unsolved chapters. Only a handful of the 42 alleged victims were formally identified. The full truth behind the killings and behind the escape that followed has never been established in court, because the man at the center of it all has never faced trial. Was he assisted by corrupt officers, as the early evidence suggested? Or, as officials now claim, by criminal associates? Is he still in Kenya or long gone? For now, the Directorate of Criminal Investigation still lists him as wanted man, urging anyone with information to come forward. Somewhere in Kenya, or perhaps beyond borders, Collins Jumaisi Kalusha is still a free man, and for the families still waiting for answers, the case remains exactly where it was on the night he disappeared. Open.